Well, here we are. It is now in the last few days, 2 days now before the test from 2022. We are talking about the AMC 10A and 12A held this Thursday, November 10th, followed by the 16th will be the B test. This is my final advice video. A lot of students ask, and they go in the Discord or in the comments or elsewhere, what should I do the day before? Well, how should I prepare? It's a little bit different for everyone. This is what I would encourage you to think about. I make one of these videos every year, and there's certain things we want to manage going in, including our expectations. And so I want to talk a little bit about this quote that I'm leading it off with. Before I do that, one thing you definitely want to watch before the test is the Amy Mindset video. I apologize in advance. It was filmed like 2 years ago. I didn't know anything about capturing sound or light or exposure or anything like that at that time. It's pretty terrible as far as the sound quality. It's like quiet and then there's a little scratchy noise kind of thing. I don't know. It's probably not that great for sound quality, but the message is definitely important and you want to make sure you see it this week, especially if you've never seen it, but I would encourage you to watch it again to remind yourself a little bit about the mental state that you should have when engaging with this competition if you want to succeed. And so I would encourage you to watch the entire thing all the way through. I wouldn't skip around. There's a lot of great points. Watch it in 2 visits if you need to. It's about 20 minutes long, I think. So the quote I'm going to lead off with is one I found in, I believe, Intro to Geometry. It might have been a different text. That text is from AOPS. And they liked quotes in there a lot. I noticed, and this is one of the ones I liked, a pupil from whom nothing is ever demanded that they cannot do never does all they can. And so this is from John Stuart Mill, a famous thinker of his era. I really like this quote, and I think it's one of kind of the guiding principles behind the test makers as they put together the competition that you're going to face. And so a lot of families and students come to this competition and they think, oh, if I just know all the things that I've studied and I have prepared myself with all the formulas and ideas, I should get an A on the test. And that's just really not how it works, and that's not how they think. Their goal is to push you beyond your comfort zone. They're going to try to advance you wherever you think your limit is. They want to push you just beyond that. They want to ask you to do things that you cannot do, right? And so you should be aware of that. You should come in expecting that feeling of disorientation. And so we'll talk about the expectations now. When you go in, expect unfamiliar problems. This is not a memorization test. I can't stress that enough. If you know every formula, doesn't mean you're ready. Sorry. You've done a bunch of problems with that formula. They're going to disguise that you need to implement the usage of it. They're going to hide it in different ways, right? So you need to be prepared for that and not get set off your path, your determination at that point. You have to manage your emotions. Again, big part of that, the Amy Mindset video. So I said it last year. We called it ad hoc problem solving, not what I call it. I'm going to refer now to a statement from usaco.guide. It's a website about preparing for the USACO. It's computer science tests, right? So the quote that they have about what it is that they are those whose algorithms do not fall into standard categories with well-studied solutions. That's what they wrote on their website. And I think that's exactly what they're trying to do here, okay? They don't want, it's not a memorization test. Again, it doesn't matter all that you know. They want you to think differently. They want to advance you. They want to challenge you, okay? It's not like a school test. I know we've all done school tests where we do all the homework and boom, easy A, 100%. Well, for some people. And you prepared and you did all the things and you're ready to go. Not so here, not so here. Now, why? Why do they want that on the test, okay? Because this is my opinion. This is not something from their website. This is what I think they're trying to achieve along with these lines. You can think of it as the ability to repeat processes versus the ability to create or innovate, to forge a new path, right? What is this about repeat processes? We make computer programs that can do this. We program them to perform these actions. It's hard to program, except maybe perhaps with the modern AI that we are trying to achieve, computers that are able to think for themselves, but it's still not quite fully achieved yet, right? And so in the meantime, people who can create or innovate are more valuable, right? This is a cog in the system. You get plugged in. You make the salary they tell you you're going to make. These people advance society. They make changes to the world around them. They improve it, right? This is the people who are going to be in charge of designing and writing the programs that the other people who are not able to do that will implement. And so your goal is to be someone who can create, who can innovate, who can challenge what the status quo is, to be able to make a difference to improve either yourself, your family, your friends, other people, those around you, society, your school, whatever it might be. That's what we're looking for. Make a better mousetrap, improve the current systems. So as such, they're going to be giving you questions that are modifications of previous ones. A lot of times they're going to have some concept. One thing that I would expect to come out in the next couple years, and I mentioned this to my students, is I would expect a 4th degree polynomial with Vieta's formulas. Why? Because I saw it last year in the AMC 12 on one of their questions. I believe it was the B test. Can't remember off the top of my head. Maybe it was the A test. And in it, you needed to use Vieta's. We didn't need to, but it was probably the primary vehicle by which you would get the answer in an efficient fashion. And so before that point, I had not really seen on the AMCs a 4th degree application of Vieta's. Before that, it was 3rd degree. Before that, it was 2nd degree. Again, they are pushing us to improve, to be better than we were before. So just understand that aspect and don't be frustrated by it. That's a good thing, right? It's good that they want to do that, okay? So now, I made a note here. I wanted to give a special shout out. There are some teachers in school who do this. Not all, but in public schools, it's hit and miss. You'll get some that will challenge the students and some that just give you, basically, if you can do all the homework in the book, you're ready for the test. Some teachers don't. Some teachers think in this way as well. And a teacher that I'm very familiar with, though he's never met me, I've never met him in person, but I have massive respect for this individual because I must have taught 200 or so students of his over the years to help prepare them for his class. And that teacher is Kyle Rogers at Troy High School in Fullerton, California. He was famous, at least in my community, for teaching the Algebra 2 honors course, and he would put basically AMC-like thinking processes on the test. And students who were not familiar with that kind of thinking, they were just used to, I memorize how to do the algorithm my teacher taught me, I repeat the algorithm on the test, I get an A. His class was like a train hitting a brick wall for them. They're not ready for it. And you might feel that way when you take this test. You might be the train hitting the brick wall of the AMC 10. Don't be discouraged. That's good. Get out of your comfort zone. Be pushed to what you cannot do. Right? That's how you're going to grow and achieve more than you otherwise would have. And so shout out to this teacher for that. Those of you who had him in the Fullerton area, I've heard some people who might have said something negative, but I know even the students who previously had straight A's, got a B in his class, they still had respect for him, and I do too. So, approximate cutoffs. My guess last year, okay, now what is this approximate cutoffs? First, understand the difference between top 2.5% and AMY cutoff. They are not the same thing. Okay, top 5% on AMC 12. That was the old system. And in fact, if you go to the qualifying scores, you'll still see it say top 2.5% score, but that's not the top 2.5%. It's no longer that. It's been that way, changed for about 5 years now. Now it's just those who score well. We don't know what percent cutoff they're going to take. There's no set score cutoff. They're looking for a target number of individuals that they will admit to the test. And so my prediction last year at the 2.5% target, which would be on the test, approximately the amount that would be of those taking it who would be in the top 2.5%. I guess their goal was around 110, meaning one of these two scores was their goal. This is a guess. It's me just speculating, right? I don't know. I don't have any access to their stuff or their conversations or their memos or their meetings. So this is just a guess at what I thought they might be trying to achieve. I was wrong. Maybe they just failed to achieve their objective. But last year, the actual top 2.5% for the AMC 10A was this. And for the 10B, it was this. You can find this. Don't go, again, on the one site. If you look at the I don't know, general report. Those are not accurate for that. You want to go to grade report and then go down the side of the list. On the far right column is the percentile, and you'll notice that these were the top 2.5% inclusive, meaning that includes all of the top 2.5%. The actual AMY cutoff was a 96. That doesn't make it less prestigious, okay? There's less people taking the test than used to take it before, and so it's still a majorly impressive accomplishment, okay? So I thought that would be the cutoff. Where is it now? My guess now is maybe they wanted it lower. Again, speculation, don't know. Maybe they want it closer to 102 and then it ended up being, 96. Maybe they want the top 2.5% approximately to be around 105, right? And then they might take more or less than that depending on how many people take the test. And again, it's not an exact science. They don't know in advance everything that all of the students, there's, hundreds of thousands, millions of students in the nation preparing perhaps or learning things at any given time. There's no set way to learn it. You kind of go your own path, and if you haven't seen my How to Prepare video, I will be updating that this year with newer things that have come out in the last couple of years. But they don't know what you've learned. It's not like everybody's on the same conveyor belt. So understand that. Don't be upset. Don't be emotional about how they design the tests. That's not your concern really. Just do the best you can. The next thing I want to say is don't guess. So again, what was my guess? Approximately maybe 102 to 105 would be top 2.5% objective, okay? And be prepared for me to be wrong again. It happens a lot, not a lot, but sometimes. I'm definitely wrong. It's just a guess, okay? Now, that's not going to be the cutoff for AMY though, for AIME. It's probably going to be lower than that. And I'm almost 100% sure it'll be lower than that. So you might get a sub 100 cutoff again. Maybe it drops even lower. I don't know, okay? So it's not really worth thinking about too much, but one quick note to make, don't guess. So last year, to get 96, do you know what that is? It is 13 right with 12 skips. If you did this on the AMC 10, that is exactly, this is 78 points. This is 12 plus half of 12, 18. If you add that, you get 96. 12 plus half of 12 is 1.5 times, okay? So that 96 would have got you qualified. What if you only answered 13 and felt, oh, I need to qualify, I should guess on 1 because it's never been below 100? Then they guessed and you got it wrong and you missed qualifying by 1.5 points. It happens all the time. Every year there's students like that. Don't guess. Only way I would say is if you're down to 2 answers, you really feel it's 1, you just, in the time allowed, you can't prove it to yourself to a satisfactory level, but you're very strongly convinced it's this 1. As long as it's not random guessing, okay. All right, but that's my advice for that. What about cheating? Again, watch last year's video. That's out of your control. Move on. It's not worth thinking about. You focus on yourself. What are you going to do on the test? What other people are doing or any cheating that may or may not occur, irrelevant. The test, have fun. Enjoy it. If you've been preparing for a while, this is your chance to challenge yourself and see how you do. Okay, so don't be consuming yourself with these kinds of thoughts and whatever. It doesn't matter. Okay, be prepared to skip, right? Again, there might be problems that you cannot do. A common notion is that there's misplaced questions, okay? That, 15 was super hard, but 22 was easy. In my opinion, these questions should be skipped. Okay, thanks for sharing your opinion. That's nowhere does MAA say anywhere on their test or on their website that the questions are supposed to go in order of difficulty. Now, there's this notion in the community that they do, and they kind of approximately do go in order of difficulty. It's approximate. They don't claim it. They're not trying to make it so that each question is sequentially more difficult than the previous. I would not be surprised at all if they intentionally put a harder question somewhere in the 8 to 15 range, maybe 2, maybe 3. Maybe they throw an 18 in there that's just a 10-minute time drain because you don't know the formula or idea that underlies that problem. But maybe 22 is in your wheelhouse. So be prepared to skip. And if you skip, you're not admitting defeat, okay? You are just saying, I might not have time to get this and I might be able to get 2 or 3 later questions in the time it would take me to solve this. I'll come back to it if I have more time. That's what you're saying. Don't attack yourself during the test for a skip. This is hard for me. I don't like skipping either. It's very difficult. You're going to have to overcome that, no, I will not give up feeling, but when should you skip? At what point in the time attempted should you move on? You could do it right at the beginning. If you can tell right away it's something that you don't feel comfortable with. I would still return to that question though and make some attempt. You might be surprised. Sometimes if you can get to step A or step B, suddenly the problem falls apart and it's just done in like 30 seconds later. And you won't know that till you get a little farther down. That happens all the time. It's a staple of the test. So I don't want you to fear that, but if you want to skip it for now, look for all the things you feel comfortable starting immediately, do those, come back to that one, that's fine. But be prepared to make a skip. I would probably skip if it's in a 1 to 15 range. I mean, I don't know, let's say you're in the 1 to 5 range and 1.5 minutes has gone by and you're nowhere. You don't feel close, you don't feel like you're making progress. Or maybe you see a solution path, but it's like 6 minutes to get there because you got to list out a bunch of terms. Then probably skip that one and come back. Okay? If you're past that point, let's say 6 to 15 range, and you're at 2 to 3 minute mark, and you have not made significant progress, you don't feel close, you're still kind of like, oh, how do I do this? You know what? Skip it and come back. Again, you're not admitting defeat. Okay? But there's many times that there's a late question or 2 or 3. Last year on the AMC 12, I think I found 2 questions that I could do in my head in about 60 seconds or less. Because it was right in my wheelhouse. It was something that I immediately recognized in the green light go away, meaning that I just responded to the stimulus because I recognized it based on my pattern recognition from similar type problems in the rear view, meaning past years. Okay? And you might have some of those. So make sure you move on and come back. Do not expect the questions to be in order. We talked about this. Stop projecting your desires onto their objectives. I would like it if it went in the order of increase. They should. Again, thank you for your opinion. Wonderful. We'll let you know when they are going to invite you to the conference to design the test. When your input is desired, they will gladly accept it at that point. Other than that, save it. Okay? Stop worrying about that. Just be prepared to skip. Some questions will be a strength for you. Boom, you can handle it. Some will be a weakness. You skip. Don't attack yourself. Just skip, get to the next one. You've got to forget that past missed shot, if you will, and you can always go back and take it again later. That one before the end of the time runs out. Okay? So things to do the day before, right, and the day of. Review the small notebook. If you don't understand small notebook, I had a class this Sunday where we went through all of my small notebook concepts. It's a collection of things that you might be able to utilize to act faster on a stimulus from a problem than you otherwise would have. There's common ones I don't include in mine, like 30, 60, 90, 45, 45, Pythagorean. I don't usually cover those. Those are basic staples. But you might have them in yours, that's fine. It's just for me, I try to put things that are a little bit off the beaten path. One that came up recently, and you might not have realized it, I think it was on the 10 last year, maybe it was the 12. There was a triangle, and they had a midpoint and a midpoint, and then these were perpendicular. And from that, because this was a midpoint, they didn't draw this line, but now you have a quadrilateral with perpendicular diagonals. We call that an orthodiagonal. You could capitalize on that to immediately find the area of this. If you remember that problem, there's a video on my channel for it. Go back and see how I did it. Those are the kinds of ideas that because you've reviewed them recently, right? It's just like a quarterback who studied the opposing defenses. When they see them in a certain position, what they've done again and again, when you see 2 lines perpendicular crossing over, maybe you can use the concept of orthodiagonal. Now, is there a quadrilateral there? No. Guess what? You can add a line. You have a pencil, you can add the line, you can see for yourself what it looks like. Okay? So that's the kind of things I put in my small notebook, things that would allow me to act faster because it's a timed test. If you're interested, I might consider an optional class on the 13th where I go through, it's about 2.5 hours. I will go through every concept in my small notebook. Email me through the email on my website or the email from the channel, and I will consider adding a class on that day. It'd be around 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific time. Okay, other things to do. This small notebook thing, you should do it the day before, multiple times. Again. You're drilling. Yes, it's a little bit of memorization, but that's fine. The point of the memorization is to act faster. It's a timed competition. You don't have time to prove every theorem in math in the middle of a 75-minute test. You need to act quickly. And you're training your mind to recognize, if I see this, boom, act, right? That's what you're doing. You're giving yourself that ability to improve your reaction time. It's just like swimmers off the block, right? When they clock the block, swimmers are in the water. And the person who's off that block faster into the water has a huge edge on those who don't. And the same thing is true in the competition. That's what the small notebook is all about. So I encourage you to build this over the course of the year or 2 years or 3 years that you're preparing for this test, and continuously return to it to review it. In the off season, about once a week. In season, like probably the last 2 months, you should be doing it multiple times a week. The day of the test, it's almost all that I would be studying. Repeat, cycle through, repeat, cycle through, repeat, cycle through. You're just gonna make your reaction time that much faster. I do recommend 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Don't be staying up late night the day before the test. Lack of sleep clouds your thinking. It's important, especially at the age of students who are taking this test. Get 7 to 8 minimum, okay? Control your nerves during the test. Again, come back and watch the Amy Mindset video. Control testing environment, okay? Wherever you're taking it, if it's a loud environment, maybe bring some earplugs if you're allowed to have them. Put some earplugs in. You cannot put electronic devices in your ear. They won't let you, but maybe you could put earplugs in to deaden the sound if you're the kind of person who gets a little nervous when somebody's erasing a bunch or writing loudly, or there's, some dog barking outside, or people in the hallway at your school. Whatever it could be prepared to handle those kinds of things, right? Could give you an edge there. Eat before the test. Don't eat anything that has ever upset your stomach in your entire life. Eat something simple, some granola, something like that will give you some energy so that you cannot be. The worst thing is when you're starving and you're trying to take the test and your stomach's growling and all you can think about is how you'd love a nice slice of pizza or like a falafel pita or something, and you can't eat that because you're taking the test and it's distracting you, okay? So make sure you control that aspect. Don't allow hunger to be what causes you to flub up at that point. So the aftermath video, I make it every year. I will make it after the B test, probably a few days after. I'll need to relax. I should have my solutions out for the A test the following morning if everything goes smoothly. I don't know that it will. I'll need to get access to the questions and all that kind of stuff so that I can film it and then have it ready for you the next day. If you're not part of my Discord server, you feel free to join it. Also my website, if you're looking to pick up study materials. One last thing to shout out again, do check out Sohail Rothy's channel. It's got a bunch of good stuff in it as far as like content, like topical content that you might want to study. Other things you might want to check out from my channel would be the shoelace theorem, and there's a few other ones too. Oh, stars and bars, watch all those examples if you're not familiar with how to do stars and bars. There's like a 5-example video on my channel that covers that topic, and I like to think of it in that way. That is all the advice I have for you. Good luck on the test, all of you. I can't tell you, as a teacher, you do get nervous in the same way for all your students. And I am slightly nervous for you, but I'm also excited. Okay, so that's it. I will see you guys after the test with hopefully some solutions that come out pretty quickly. Have a good day.